Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi, and as you can see, Fruit Loop is not here. She is out of town this weekend, but we really wanted to get this episode out about a missing woman in our own backyard. Her name is Alexis Ware, 29-year-old woman from the upstate of South Carolina. And before we get started, if you guys are local, and we have a lot of local interest in this case, and a lot of people have been asking us to cover this, and we've been wanting to, we just wanted to make sure that we had all the facts at our disposal before we put this out there. Um, Please go to downtown Pickens and try Big Cliff's barbecue. It is the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. I totally had a religious experience in there a little while ago. So I told Big Cliff I would shout him out, and it is worth the drive if you're not close. So, if you're new with us, a couple of things before we get started. Number one, we really do not entertain speculation and rumor on the podcast for a couple of reasons. The biggest one being that we have found in every missing person case we've covered that speculation and rumor can really take the focus off of actually finding the person. It's just a muddy road to go down. And we definitely read about it in our own time and formulate our own theories and plots and things like that. But on here, we find that keeping it fact based is really the best way to go because rumors fly like wildfire on the internet in these missing person cases. And we just got to keep Lex's name in the forefront and the mission to bring her home first and foremost. And also, we never want to be the reason that the family feels upset or hears something that may not be true. And they have enough to deal with right now. So we are just going to keep it fact based. There are not a lot of facts public in this case right now. And the other thing is, people don't just disappear without somebody knowing something. So I know sometimes people don't want to get involved or have their name associated with stuff like this, but let me just give you a number. If somebody out there knows something, there are ways you can report tips to law enforcement anonymously. And the number is 1-888 crime SC. That is 1-888-274-6372. So you can tell authorities if you happen to know something without telling them your name. Because in missing person cases, sometimes all they need is one little tip to blow the case wide open and be one step closer to bringing Alexis home. She's been missing since January the 30th. She is a mother, she is a daughter, she is a sister. And we have got to find out where she is and bring this beautiful lady home. So let's tell you what we do know about this case. Law enforcement's been pretty quiet about the facts of the case, but oftentimes we find that news does come out. It's just a lot of times law enforcement will keep the biggest parts of the case close because number one, it could tip off a potential person of interest or suspect, and it could derail the investigation. So I know a lot of people are bothered that it's been quiet from the investigators, but I do feel like they're working this case and they know way more than we do. So I do have faith that we're going to hear something soon on this, hopefully. Share her picture, share any news articles about her, anything. Let's keep her in the news. Let's don't let this go cold. It's up to us to share this stuff on a daily basis, enough to just make it to where we don't have to wonder who that is when we see it. We know that's Lex and we got to find her. So her mother, Alberta Gray, told the state newspaper that Lex is labeled as a missing person, but they believe she's been kidnapped. On the day that she disappeared, she had told her mother someone was outside her apartment in Greenville in a black truck. She called law enforcement, and when she saw the sheriff's car leave, she ran down the stairs and got into her red Honda sedan. Also, in the days before her disappearance, she was seen in Greenville and Lexington counties. So let's go back to the beginning about how we got here. So Alexis Ware, who is 29 years old, she's been missing from Greenville County since January 30th, where she was last seen at a 7-Eleven around 7:30 p.m. The big red flag is that family and friends say it's not like her to leave her children. She's a mother of two babies, and they need their mama. The children are safe. Now, after she was last seen, the car was seen going on video into Augusta, Georgia, and coming back into South Carolina the night she went missing. And phone pings show her phone in Anderson around 8:15 that night. She was reported missing on February 1st in Anderson County. Now, her car was found the next day on February the 2nd, covered in mud in McCormick County, about 70 miles away from where she was last seen. And the car was found in an area known for deer hunting. Her phone and her purse were inside the car. And authorities and family have conducted searches around that area where her car was found, but they so far have not found any sign of her. Investigators told her mother they were able to get fingerprints from the car, but they did not tell her whether they were just Lex's or maybe hers and somebody else's. That's just something they have not put out there yet. In a weird twist, the family also says they've gotten texts from an unknown number saying that they have information on Lex's whereabouts and they demanded $200, which the family turned that over to investigators in Anderson County. They've also received threatening messages saying to plan for Lex's funeral, which, if it's a hoax, I hope that these people are prosecuted to the full extent of the law for playing with the emotions of people who are clearly going through one of the worst seasons of their life right now. Her mother said that the people have asked for a photo of her, or that they've asked these people who are texting to send a photo or put her on the phone, and they've heard nothing else. It's kind of brazen to do that because these days with technology, it's going to catch up with you. We see so many cases solved or so many people charged because you don't realize you can delete everything you want off your phone. Investigators can get it. They can find burner phones. They can do a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of angles I'm sure they're working right now to try to find Lex. So the story of her disappearance, her family says that she met up with the father of her children, a man named TJ Patterson, the night she was last seen to drop her children off with him. And he met her at the 7-Eleven on Highway 29 North in upstate South Carolina around 7:30 to pick up the two kids. He said that he put gas in her car because she said she didn't have any money for gas. And he said that she asked for a hug, and the plan was for Alexis to follow TJ back to his mother's home. But he said when they got up the road, they went to a red light and she went around him and sped up and was never heard from again. TJ said he tried calling her again and again, but Alexis never answered. And not too long after that, that phone was turned off. So I think a big thing in this case is going to be, as far as what investigators are doing now, is they're following up on that phone. Where has it pinged? Where was she a day or two before she went missing? Who was she talking to? Who was she messaging on Facebook? And another thing to keep in mind, it's so urgent that people, if you know anything, please tell authorities because they have to get subpoenas for these records. That takes time. It takes time for the phone companies to get all this stuff back. So really, so many times, this one little tip that investigators need that put them on the right path to finding her. Now, her brother did a Facebook Live and said her last phone pings were in the early morning hours of Monday, which would have been the 31st, I think, maybe the 1st. I'm not sure how many days in January. It's been a long day, y'all. So we have pictures of Lex all across our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm not sure if it's been put up on Instagram, but we will do that. She is 5'5" to 5'6", 230 pounds. She is a beautiful Black female, and her hair, the last time she was seen, is long and straight. If you have any information, you can call the Anderson County Sheriff's Office at 864-260-4405. Another number you can call is 877-97-BAMFI if you have any information. And again, if you would rather be anonymous, but you feel like you have a tip that law enforcement needs to know about, call 1-888-CRIME-SC. That's 1-888-274-6372. This woman deserves to be home with her babies and her family and those who love her. And sometimes all it takes is one person that has one piece of information that can turn this investigation around. We do not want this investigation to go cold. Let's keep it in the news. Let's keep it on our statuses, on our Twitter, everywhere. Keep her name and her picture out there. And hopefully we find Lex sooner than later. So we are going to move on to another missing person case. Harmony Montgomery is the child that was not seen for over 2 years before she was reported missing. Sometime the last time she was seen was between November 28th and December 10th of 2019. They've received 650 tips, but so far, kind of like the Alexis Ware case, what we know is very minimal. Now, in Harmony's case next week, I believe they are going to release some documents that may give a little bit of insight into her disappearance. And the governor called for an internal review at the Division of Children, Youth, and Families regarding the handling of her case. And the division has not said if she was even in their system, and they say the reason they are not talking is due to really strict confidentiality laws. We've talked so much on prior episodes about the need to overhaul DSS and to make sure that these children are taken care of. It is just all the time these sweet babies are disappearing, or they're being killed by parents that never should have had them in the first place. So we're going to take a little break right now and talk about our paid sponsor. It's BetterHelp, and they're ready to help you achieve goals and help you create a happier, healthier life. It's an online service that will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You're able then to connect in a safe and private online environment that's simple and really convenient to use. And I love the privacy aspect of it too. Not everybody feels comfortable walking into a therapist's office. This way, you don't have to leave home. The website for BetterHelp is so easy to use, and you can get started with them today. Keep in mind, BetterHelp is not a crisis line or a self-help line. It's a professional counseling service that is done securely online. That's what I love about BetterHelp. And I also love that the counselors you're able to meet, they're very specialized in many different areas, from depression and anxiety to relationships, sleeping trouble, grief, and trauma. They're ready to help you in those areas and so many more other areas. So we want you guys to start living a happier life today. And as a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/whattheworld. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that is BetterHelp, HELP.com/whattheworld. And we thank them for supporting this podcast. Last thing we're going to talk about really quickly is the Murdock case. There's been some more lawsuits filed. Alec is up the creek without a paddle. And this was against Alex and Buster by two of the passengers on the boat of the night of the fatal crash that killed Mallory Beach. Two of the passengers, Miley and Morgan. Buster is included for allowing Paul to use his ID to purchase alcohol, and the Parker's convenience store, which sold the alcohol to Paul with the fake ID, is also named in this suit. Maggie's estate. Now, remember, Maggie is Paul's wife, who was found murdered along with, or Alex's wife, who was found murdered along with their son Paul. They name her in this suit, saying that she knew Paul was operating a boat while drunk and that she paid for the alcohol and had spoken to Paul shortly on the phone before the crash and did not stop him or encourage him to stop driving. It also stated that she was liking social media posts of him consuming alcohol, even though he was underage. So Morgan, who was Paul's girlfriend at the time, had injuries to her hand and finger, leading to permanent scarring and disfigurement. Miley had injuries to her arm and other parts of her body, with some of those injuries being permanent. Now, what's interesting is the Moselle property where the double murders happened, that it's on sale right now for $3.9 million. They've renamed it to Cross Swamp Farm, and it has 1,770 acres that includes forest, farm, and swampland. The home is 5,300 square foot with 4 bedrooms and 3.5 baths, and it also has a 1,100 square foot caretaker house. As of right now, Maggie's estate owns that property, and if the house were to sell, creditors of the Murdaughs can object, and it would require a judge really to say it's okay to sell. And then if it does sell, the judge would essentially decide how that money is divided up, who gets what. So, and Mallory's Beach's mother filed a $65 million claim against that property. So, man, that case is the hot mess express. I mean, at this point, Alec is facing over 700 years in prison. A lot of people say, well, why do you give somebody 2 life sentences? Why do you give 700 years? Because Alec Murdaugh has taken advantage of so many vulnerable people who went to him to help them get a settlement that would better their life in the face of injuries and that sort of thing, and he took advantage of them. And they deserve a charge just as much as the next person. So all those charges add up, and now he gonna be in prison until he takes his last breath at this point. Still is not bonded out. Still consider him a flight risk. This story is really evolving weekly almost, and we still haven't heard anything about the murders of Paul and Maggie, Gloria Satterfield's death, or Stephen Smith. A lot of things still being investigated by the FBI and SLED. So we really expect much, much more to come out of this. But again, Alexis Ware from South Carolina, upstate South Carolina, Greenville, pass her picture around, put that flyer out, and let's keep her in the news, guys. All right, I'm signing off for the weekend. Hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening, a great Sunday, and we will be back with you either Monday evening or Tuesday. We'll have a full week of new episodes. Take care of each other.